at the odds. I get the top, I get the guap, I get the green, I get the slot. I make a mess, I need a mop. She got a dress, taking it off, taking it off, taking it off, taking it all. Right at the top, if I'm involved, right at the top. Money so tall, it never stops. It never stop, it never stop. I got a lot. It never stop, it never stop. I got a lot, I got a lot. It never stop, it never stop. If I'm involved, right at the top. Money so tall, it never stop, it never stop.
All right, so it is time to have a panel discussion. This kind of came about because I had kept hearing this sort of, I don't know, existential discussion basically on every Slack channel. There was a question of like, what are we doing? What are the next steps? Where does SecKC go from here? And so I thought it would be a good idea for us to sit down and actually let the luminaries, the founders, kind of talk that out and give us their thoughts on what do we do? What does COVID mean to SecKC, and what does after COVID mean to SecKC? When it comes down to it, I think every organization in the world is having this exact same discussion and this exact same kind of introspection. But I think it's an important thing for everybody here to kind of be able to talk out and understand. So with that, I will let Bill and Alex and everybody else run with it.
So first of all, I blame Bill.
I think you have to unmute.
There we go.
There we go. I finally got unmuted. Alex, are you unmuted too?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Cool. Well, and thanks, Ben. I appreciate you kicking it over to us, and actually everything that you've done here to get us back up and going again. Look, I don't have any real answers to this, but as I think about SecKC and I think about the end of the year last year, the beginning of the year this year, I really don't see an immediate time where we're going to get back to that. I think that we really need to, as a group, understand that getting 300 of us together again in person is not something that's going to occur in the short term, right? And I think as a group, I think that if we start to put that check mark in our brain, it unlocks some things. Look, I'm as social as it comes, and it's killing me not spending time with y'all, but we can leverage this. We can leverage this situation in ways that will actually increase the kind of the SecKC experience, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But I kind of want to pause and let Alex maybe say a few things if you got anything there, Alex.
Yeah. The first thing you said, nice for Ben for putting this together. I mean, he stepped up. I don't know, for majority of you that aren't reading the SecOps chat, he stepped up and was just like, basically, what do we need to do? What do I need to do, to get this thing going? And we're like, go for it, dude. And he did it, and we're here. So it's nice work for that. I don't know how much work it was for you, Ben. I don't feel like stepping up to these things it's not a small task, but it's one of those things that just, once you start doing it and work towards it, it's not that bad either. So,
for anybody else, I think it's really, really important that you understand that SecKC is a community and it's run by volunteers. So as we kick over to Alex and I, you guys need to understand that we don't, like Alex and Bill and Corey and Trent and Jurist and the list goes on and on and on and on. These are people who help build SecKC and help volunteer at SecKC. We're not the boss, right? We're not the leaders, and the way that SecKC comes together, it's somebody takes the time and energy to help push and help organize and help run SecKC, and this is all done in the SecOps channel in Slack. And and so if we want this community to stand together and keep going, we're gonna need people to step up to the plate. But so as I was kind of thinking about what I want to talk about to y'all is what SecKC means to me, and hopefully what it means to you is it's a place where I feel like I belong, right? I feel like the sense of community that we have, and the sense of belonging and the sense of meeting somebody just like me, somebody that I can talk about the problems that I'm facing, will be similar with somebody else, right? Or somebody that is working on a problem that I've never considered before, right? Working on a project or had solved something or seen something at their workplace that I've never seen before. And so to me, it really is crucial that we keep this community, right? And we continue to support it. And really when it really boils down to it, and Alex and I were just kind of talking about this, but when it comes down to it, I don't know how you guys are feeling, but me personally, I need more social interaction, right? The Zoom meetings are great, and but right now my Zoom meetings are, or my social interaction is 100% work, right? And I need that 10, 20, 30, 40, 100% to also include social, right? Where I'm meeting with my peers, and I'm meeting with you all, right? And so, and I don't mean to make this the Bill show, and Alex, if you want to jump in here, feel free, but you all should know that when we take a look at where we're at right now, we are looking for a new location. We found some good locations, right? But I'm concerned about the viability of commercial real estate. I am not willing to sign contracts. I'm not willing to spend money. And quite honestly, even if we were to say next month in September, we are having an in-person meeting, I'm concerned about the responsibility that is put on not me, but like the org as a whole of bringing us all together. Right. And so, when I think about that, it's conflict, it's internal conflict, because I need social time, and this is great. In fact, man, you're just watching the chat run, during the talks. I love it, man. I love hearing the questions. I love hearing the answers and those kind of things. And I think it's important. And so, I was talking to a mentor of mine earlier this morning, and, as he was blahing away, I realized that the requirement of being in person is not a requirement. We can do stuff virtually at any time, and it doesn't have to be an official anything. And I'm trying to get him to smile, and he's not even smiling. There he goes. Yeah. So Jurist and I were talking earlier, and if you guys haven't had a chance to just sit and chat with that guy one-on-one, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And so I was thinking about it. If we start taking away the requirement of being in person, okay. So if all of a sudden that is not a variable that we have to worry about. Think about everything that goes into place to get SecKC running monthly, right? There's so much in the background. You look at what the audio team does and lugging equipment around. All of the scheduling, making sure that people are there, making sure that the venue's there, making sure that food is there, making sure drink is there, making sure that people get home safe, there's all these requirements that we don't actually have to have right now. And so I think that if we were to start and move to keeping the community strong, making sure that people are engaging, making sure that we still are having big meetings like this, but also encourage the smaller, the smaller groups to meet and maybe meet in person, like whatever that means. But in many respects, where we're at right now, the shit's easier, right? These are my words coming out of my mouth, is that we don't have to lug stuff to the bar. We don't have to drive home. Like if you think about workshops, think about hardware hacking workshops, think about network security workshops, think about talks where we have to be interacting with a command line. These are my words coming out of my mouth, Juris. These are not yours words at all. These are mine. Yeah, but think about that, right? So it opens things up, right? And we can change with this, but I think what it really comes back to, and before I close, is that I really feel strongly about the concept of community and social hour, and I really want to make sure that we keep this up, right? Whatever that looks like, but it's gonna take effort, and it's gonna take volunteer. Like today wouldn't happen without Ben. There, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other people that are doing stuff to make this occur, but Ben stood up and said, "Hey, we're going to have a meeting in August. I guess I volunteered to run the show, and so here we are." Everybody has that capability. There is no boss. There is no boss of SecKC. The SecOps channel is what makes things happen. And so I'm gonna stop talking, throw it back to Alex, but also I want to hear if there's any questions, if anybody has anything they want to mention.
I don't have much else to add. Just, I guess personally, I'm perfectly okay without the social time. I'm good here. But it's still good to get together. I still like it, but I'm not. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, just like what you're saying, and our group is built for this. Like if anyone can survive remotely and operate remotely, it's us. I mean, and benefit from it. So, and we can also test new types of meeting formats. I thought the CTF in April, I think, was one of our most successful. I thought it was really successful. It was great. So there's events like that. We can just have social time, hang out, drink beer, show stuff we're working on, whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of bounty hunting or whatever types of things we want to do would be great. So I think, if you have an idea or you want to kind of host a mini meeting or a meeting or something like that, feel free to jump in the group and let us know. So I think I think we'll. I mean, I'm not stressed out about having to do this, but at the same time, I think we'll get some good experience with some new formats and maybe learn some stuff that works even better than the in-person meeting. So yeah, that's all I had.
And from there, I kind of want to just open it up. If anybody has any, and it doesn't have to be a Q, it can be an A. I saw that. I think that's pretty clever. No asses, but if you've got answers, please, show them. Just how do you guys feel about that? How are you guys, how's everybody doing mentally? And is this a good break, or, how you feeling about it?
Well, right. So you and I obviously talked a little bit about this morning, but coming off of DEF CON this past weekend, I know a lot, some people got a chance to take part in that. And maybe a lot of people that were like, well, I can't go drink booze on somebody else's tab, so I'm going to mow the yard and it'll be fine. And whatever, DEF CON's DEF CON. That's cool. It ended up being way, way more fun and really a solid analog to being out there in person than I expected it to be going in, right? I mean, I'm like, well, okay, people are going to watch some YouTube videos at home, kind of whatever, and then they're going to sit in chat. That's the kind of shit we always do. But it ended up being a lot cooler than I really expected. And, coming out of that and thinking about, because one of the things that we had thought about, why are we doing this all kind of condensed when we could spread this out maybe a little bit? The spreading it out, I think, works fairly well for SecKC, right? If you want to do a workshop, yeah, but your workshop doesn't really fit into 90 minutes where we got to rotate around and you got to work, it doesn't really work where you're going to sit in the dark. Okay, take 3 hours, put it on the schedule, Eventually we'll get the infrastructure built up so that we can kind of consult with you guys so that you can help like get your production value up and get something out on Zoom or Twitch or YouTube or however we decide to do that. And the other thing that I think is really neat about this is, from closing ceremonies for DEF CON, they showed that they had people participating and on the Discord server from 6 of the 7 continents, right? Which, first of all, one thing that we need to do is figure out how to set up a proxy in Antarctica so that we can be the 7th continent. But
Set a proxy on the International Space Station.
Right? I mean, people really dig a lot of the things that we do, and we have an incredible reputation among the speakers I talk to, like Patrick Wardle and Sean Metcalf. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard that SecKC's up to some really cool shit." Well, now we can push that out to the entire world, right? And even just locally, I know a lot of people that would love to come, but because of family obligations or just social anxiety, they don't like cramming into a dark bar with crazy loud techno. But this is a great way for us to kind of bring people into this. So, like Bill said at the beginning, I think once we go ahead and we embrace the fact that we're not getting together anytime soon for a myriad of different reasons, and we start figuring out what this thing can be, we've got a lot of really cool opportunities in front of us.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add this, and anybody that's heard me yap my mouth has already heard this, but I know I know how you feel. I know that you've been working on something, but you don't think it's cool enough to show. You don't think it's good enough to present on, and I'm telling you, I'm looking at you. It is, right, and especially this community, the SecKC community is very, very open to talk and to be talking about things that you personally don't feel are conference worthy, right? I personally have talked at SecKC about how many root certificates are installed on my Android phone. That was the whole talk. That was the whole thing, right? Like I stretched it out to 45 minutes, but the TLDR was, there's a lot of certs on your phone, right? And that's not a conference worthy talk, but it's something that as a community interesting, right? And so we are looking for people to talk. We are looking for workshops. The pie hole one that we just went through, perfect example, right? That was great. That would have been a lot more difficult in the bar, right? I love it. I wish I was in the bar with your pie hole, but it is what it is.
If I may, I want to tack on here. This is my first meeting, and I was invited by somebody who taught me a lot of what I know about InfoSec, and I'm still very, very new. But I've never been more excited to volunteer for a community.
Cool.
It's like instantly obvious to me that this is exactly the community that I should be investing time in right now. I completely agree with you guys saying that you can increase the value that everybody gets from SecKC in this format. That doesn't mean losing the other format. That just means we adapt faster, right? That's literally all that means, because everyone has to do this right now. Like you said at the beginning, everyone is asking the same question. And the fact that we're in such a strong position to make that switch and to be in this format, I mean, I wouldn't have been here if you guys had been meeting in person tonight. I would not have gone to that. There is absolutely no way I would have gone out of my house to an event like that today. But I still got to come to today. I still got to be introduced to you all, and I'm so excited to meet with you further and to volunteer in the community. So I think you guys are headed in maybe a much better direction than you even realized going into this. And that's all I've got on that. But like, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for hosting this.
And thanks for speaking up. I think that's awesome. And that, I mean, that's, I hope that's how much that means to me. Cause that's something that we've worked on for years, right? Is to make sure that we have the right community feel, right? Where people feel welcomed and feel okay to share and okay to be wrong and okay to call someone out, or I guess we don't call anyone out, but you know what I mean? Like we're
man. Yeah, no, I totally feel it. That's the thing. I can feel it. Like,
yeah,
I'm right on board for sure.
Cool. Well, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Everybody's tired of hearing Bill talk and they want to get back to music. I can feel it.
Hey guys, I was going to weigh in real quick. I was going to say, first of all, thank you for putting SecKC back on again. Virtual it's awesome. You guys know, most of you know, been a founder member for a long time. But I just want to say that it's interesting to see, while I definitely like the social vibe of being in person, and I would love to get back to that, there are a lot of other local chapters that are kind of feeling the same thing. So being heavily involved in ISC Squared, a lot of the same conversations are happening. And, you know, there's some virtual things going on there too, but it's the same vibe. Like everybody would like to get back together. So it's just really cool. And I want to say thanks again to everybody who has put the virtual thing on. And I think we're looking in the other chapters that I've been kind of participating in to not only try to figure out how we get back in person, but to also keep the virtual presence going, because there's a lot of benefit to that. And there's a lot of cool things that we're seeing. So there's pros and cons of both, but I think it'd be awesome to be able to keep both going in some context. So I'm very excited to hear the direction we're going in.
Thanks, Donnie. It's nice seeing you again, too.
Yes, you too, Bill.
All right. Well, with that, let's kick it back off. Everybody, it was really nice seeing and chatting with you guys tonight. I feeling the love. I'm glad to be back with you all.
Okay, Bill, but you got to do something about that lag, man. Everybody else's audio and visual is synced up, but not yours.
Mine's perfect and everyone else is wrong. And I have a rifle.
And that guy has 50,000 rounds of ammunition. So,
well, I wanted to say one thing real quick, and one of the things we did early on was we did 5-minute talks on a single tool. If you're not confident talking for 45 minutes or 30 minutes, just submit for 5. Talk about one thing, do it real quick and be done. I took a 5-minute talk and presented it twice at B-Sides Las Vegas and DEF CON by taking that and taking it and extrapolating it out to about a dozen tools on the Windows platform that could do a lot of hacking things that were just built in. You can do the same thing. You can start with 5 minutes. It's a great place to go and start working out from there. It's not a lot of time. I'm going to probably spend that much time talking tonight, and it's not that much time to really talk. You can do it. And then you can go and have like 6 drinks if you need to have them afterwards. Don't drink before, because then your talk sounds kind of. It's a great opportunity, especially now. And you can present totally in slides and not have to present your face. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to do all those things. Any of those things that make you uncomfortable presenting in person, you get the chance to invent yourself right now on the internet in a very specific way and present about something that you're really proud about. Don't feel limited right now. This is a great opportunity to invent something for yourself and be able to move forward. I've had a couple of people that I've been mentoring at my employer who have really flourished in this environment because they get very flustered because both of them are about 5'3" each. And they're I know one of the customers, the senior security guy there is 6'8" and likes to physically intimidate people. The 5'3" guy couldn't get anything done with this guy until this time, because then they were on an even test. There's no way you can intimidate somebody over Zoom, because you can mute them, you can turn them off, you can kick them off a session. There's things they can't do in that session that by being virtual, you get an opportunity to invent yourself in a new way. So do it. Step up there. Take this opportunity to step out and do something you haven't done before.
Well, and for that matter, if you don't even want to do it live, you don't have to do it live.
Well,
give us a recording and we'll stream it out. We'll kind of do it like we did for Not Vegas. So all of the ways that we think about presenting and creating content for SecKC are really kind of up in the air for reconsideration. And super excited.
Actually, if I can just drop something in here, because I just noticed something in the chat, but Serbo said that this is his last SecKC meeting. It doesn't have to be with this format. And that's something I think people need to realize. I'm actually based out of Topeka. Making your meetings is literally like get off work, roll as fast as possible to get up there in time. And I do it when I can. But this format has given me like direct access to you guys, which is awesome.
That's a really good point, but something you're missing there is the reason this is Serbo's last meeting was not his choice; it was ours.
Damn, burn! What did you do, Serbo, to get kicked out of here? That takes something special.
I had to do with toner.
Also, Robert Lewis, you're missing the point. SecKC is a really good reason to leave work early.
This is true.
This is true. You have to make lots of excuses.
4 o'clock, start making excuses.
Yes. Or if you're in Iowa, 12 o'clock is start making excuses hour.
See, even better. Even better.
What do you guys
You
have a
wish you were
different
in
time
Iowa.
zone in Iowa?
That's travel time.
Oh, okay.
Good Lord, all the way up there in Iowa. I'm only
Really only 1 o'clock, really. I mean, it's not that far of a drive. 1 o'clock.
It's 3:30 for me.
I thought it was just because you guys got up at like, super early to like let the cows out and like milk the cows.
Gotta
right
mend
now,
the fence
right
first.
now we're trying to keep the cows in since there's no power to power the electric fence to keep their asses in. Oh, okay. There's no fence without electricity that's going to keep a 1,000-pound animal where you want it.
Or more.
1,000 pounds, so tiny.
I was going to say.
Yeah, that's
you're
the
looking at,
calves.
like 1,400, 1,800.
The cows will stay because they think it's got power. It's the young ones who don't know yet that is supposed to stop them that will go through a fence when it's down.
Those little hackers.
Yeah, right? Just thinking they can do whatever they want because they don't know that they can't. Sounds like a hacker to me.
Mm-hmm. Test the system.
They're like velociraptors. They test the fences systematically, looking for weaknesses.
There you go. Red teamers.
All right. So exactly. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take about 10 minutes here and then get around to doing firmware. Why is it firm and where is it? Very excited to find out.
Clever girl.
If it's not firm, there's a pill for that.
Absolutely.
Let you know.
Woke up quick at about noon. Just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. I gotta get drunk before the day begins, before my mother starts bitching about my friends.
All right, and we are back. So it is time to find out what is the firm, why it is firm, and where it is. So without further ado, and I think this might be the first thing we've done the entire night on schedule, I'm going to turn it over so that we can have Firmware 101. All right, so that last one was Marcel Marceau's new classic, Walking in the Wind. All right, sir, are you ready? You are unmuted, but we're not hearing you. Perhaps muted on something else. Or there are two mutes.
It is the legend of the hardware mute. Or perhaps something that could be troubleshooted.
The push to talk button.
Could be. Oh,
An
man,
incredibly big mute.
That would exacerbate it, right? Because if it's a deaf mute, then it's like we're not helping.
Are we talking about DEF CON?
Or would we?
No, it's a deaf mute, not a...
We'll get there, no worries. We can come up with more mute jokes.
I hate you.
Could be a firmware issue.
Could be. Hold on, I'm just going to look at my
Here
laptop.
we go. Is there anyone technical here that can help?
Fuck that noise.
Did you reboot 3 times?
If only there were a
that's
phone
my
number
gauge,
that you could dial in and talk over your cell phone.
No. We hear you. Maybe.
Yeah.
You have to reboot 5 times if it's Linux or 6 times if it's Ubuntu.
It's Debian. Close enough.
Wow. Yesterday I had to reboot my furnace.
So how do I actually set this thing to go? Oh.
I like the implication that Debian is not Linux, by the way, or Ubuntu. It's not Linux.
There you go.
I think it's Alt S by default to share your screen.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Present.
I can just see her creep in the background so I can hear and see this.
Yeah, okay. I guess this is not going to behave, so. Firmware 101. What is firmware? Why is it firm? Where is it? Answers for these questions and more now. So, what is firmware? Low-level shitty software that deals with hardware shit. At least that's the original definition. I totally did not look that up. Why is it firm? Beats me. These days, calling it permanent or read-only is like saying you have a highly secure building, but master passcode is sticking onto the front door. Where is it? There. Okay, so now onto a bit more of the technical detail. So the SoIC flash chip, this is the common layout. And since we had, Raspberry Pi talk, and there was supposed to be another, I put on a diagram of the Raspberry Pi 2 and 3's GPIO pins because you can use Raspberry Pi as a flasher. I would not recommend it. Coreboot is open source firmware used in almost all Chromebooks and various Linux-focused laptops, such as Purism Librem laptops. Does minimal hardware in it before handing off to a payload. It can range from BIOS or UEFI all the way to memtest or grub2. We've already heard grub2 about grub2 tonight. An Intel management engine is like Intel telling you to go fuck yourself. It has complete system access, can intercept everything and monitor everything. And it's so closed off that we don't know what the hell is going on. We can use MeCleaner to strip out most of the functionality, or even flip a hidden NSA disable bit, but it doesn't really do a complete removal or disabling. However, on older systems, Core 2 era, you can completely remove it if it's even present. Now, hopefully this is going to work well. But I want to do a live demo. This is going to, as we can already tell, things are not going to go too terribly well. So, yeah, let me switch over to my camera. If someone can prioritize my camera. Can I prioritize my camera? How do I do that?
I suspect you need to turn your camera on first.
I'll just use, yeah.
There's an option to turn your camera on lower left next to the mute button.
I need to switch over to my, switch my system camera over to my dad's laptop. All credit to my dad for saving the day, by the way. Let's see if... Alrighty. So, oh. Hi, Dad.
I got you, kid.
He's working on it. Add this to shot number 1 or 2 or however many times I've already fucked up today.
Shout out Highland.
Space, the final front.
I mean, you could fix that.
I can make you older. I can make you stop Asian. It'll take just a second. I gotta kill this. So.
All right, now I apologize, but we're going to be taking this laptop here. We're going to be installing Core Boot onto it. Let's see if we actually get to that. Let me just get my mics, not my mic, web camera set up here. So if I don't.
This might be an example of a talk to be better in person.
Yeah, this is definitely a better in-person talk. But so first and foremost,
you need to get fine, man.
Thank you. Woo.
I think this is a great online talk because otherwise you'd be setting up some sort of camera to focus down on it and trying to project it at the same time. It'd be a huge pain. So, no, this is a great format.
Yeah, it's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, like I said, I absolutely apologize. Okay. Well, screw come out. Screw does come out. So if anyone has any questions they want to throw at me, please go wide ahead.
Can you just give like a quick overview of what it is to install Core Boot? Because it seems like you have to physically interface with the motherboard.
Oh yeah, so hold on. First and foremost, we're going to prove that I am modifying the firmware for real. So first and foremost, if it's going to cooperate, yep. So this is stock firmware, plain and simple. What we're doing is going to disassemble the motherboard. I'm almost done with. Okay, I have hit all the screws. So the SPI flash chip that I showed in my presentation. It's, God damn it. This here. We need to take a clip such as this, and we need to physically attach this clip because this is our way of flashing shit. I had this all rehearsed out.
Dude, that's sick. Once again, I never would have thought to like, I don't know. I guess hardware hacking is a new concept for me. This is fucking cool already.
Thanks, mate. Need all the encouragement I need to get. Okay, so if I can. Okay, so now I'm going to attempt to share screen again. Let's find my terminal. Okay, so now that we got the clip on, first we need to do let's just go up. So this command, flash ROM, is pretty much our utility to flash firmware, flash devices. So the PCH341A SPI, that's specifying the flasher. There's many different kinds of flashers out there. I know a while back we were talking about the Flipper Zero, the Kickstarter Ponagachi like thing. That also can work as a SPI flasher, for example. You can also use your Raspberry Pi as SPI interface after enabling it. There's a lot of different options for this. And then R is we're reading. So we need to take 2 backups because since we're using a physical interface, we want to verify that our flasher is actually properly attached. So, pardon me. Yeah, it takes a few tries to clip it on correctly. But once you have it clipped on, oh, I think I got it. No. It takes a few tries, especially with a lower quality clip. This is wonderful. When I say take a few tries, and also, why is there we go. Nope, there we go. And I forget that we also have to include chip definition. This is based off the chips that you're actually flashing to. So this chip in particular is the MX25L6405D. And now we're going to attempt to read the flash. So this may take a little while. So anyone else have any more questions to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you tell us about the hardware that you're using that you have attached to your clip?
Oh yeah, so it's CH341A. It's you attach it's a USB flasher. You attach it to the device that you're using to flash, and you attach the clip to the device you're flashing. It flashes over the SPI interface. So I believe it's serial peripheral interface. Essentially, I can't think of the word I was trying to use. Yeah, it's a USB device essentially. So now
sorry to interrupt. I have a question about the chip that you're flashing. You showed it was on the motherboard, a laptop motherboard. Is this the BIOS chip, or what are you actually attached to?
Yes, so it is the BIOS chip, actually. We are straight up going straight at the BIOS chip.
And just from what I'm seeing here, it looks like what you're doing is you're reading a copy of the current code that exists on that chip, correct?
Yep. Because we will be taking it and hopefully getting it. We're going to be using our dumps because we have to grab some stuff from the dumps to supply it to core boot.
Cool.
Very cool. If I was looking at my motherboard and I wanted to find the BIOS chip, how would I identify it? Just by sight, so I knew what to clip to.
So the easiest way is if you have a clip in hand, the clip will clip onto it'll be 8-pin chip generally. Sometimes it's 16 pins. Sometimes there's no pins exposed, and you're going to have to desolder the chip. So let me finish. Mainly, it's identifying that specific chip. There's going to be so many of them that it's sometimes you have to either look at the schematic, if you can find the schematic online, or just trial and error. Hopefully they have the right pinout.
Cool. Thank you much.
All right, so then looks like I have a friend here that's also talking about stuff. And yes, the bus pirate would also be usable. So we should now have x220 backup.rom, x220 backup2.rom. Since there's no difference, we will assume that hopefully it's good. You can always check for, you could do view in a hex editor, so you make sure it's not like all zeros or all FFs. But let me diff one more thing, because I have a known clean backup on here. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to RM. I had this planned, definitely. So we're now going to git clone the Corbett repository. And keep shitting me with questions. I want to make sure you all have a grasp for what the hell I'm doing.
Does core boot interface well with like mostly just like personal computers, or would you be able to flash it onto like a server motherboard?
Oh, that's a really good question, actually. So with that, one of the things I do know is that there's plenty of server motherboards that are supported by core boot. There's another project done by what's his name, but it's called Linux boot. Essentially, it's preserving most of the EFI environment, if I understand it correctly. But is that the driver executable? I can't remember the DXE, which essentially is your UEFI, your primary UEFI environment, if for lack of better terms. It replaces that with just straight up Linux. So power your system on, and it's Linux. I believe also something dropped in the SecKC Slack. There should be an automated poll, but you guys should pick out your payload. I summarized each of the payloads because I knew that I was going to forget about it in the poll. But personally, go for Grub. It's going to be fun. So, and I'm going to probably be cutting that off here soon. Let me pull up the Slack. If I can. Hey, Grub 2's currently the winner. So, CD core boot. I'm typing at a very weird angle here. I apologize. So first you need to make the cross compiler, which essentially makes sure that everyone's using the same tool chain, because each different distribution is going to have their own different build of GCC and various other utilities. So to rule out the error, rule out any problems, because there have been problems in the past before they really implemented cross GCC. We now have a universal tool chain, and you just need to make sure you select your architecture that we're targeting. We're going to do i386 because on at least most x86 systems, as I have noticed, i386 cross GCC will produce more stable results, and that's been widely agreed upon in the core boot community, as far as I understand. I could be absolutely wrong on that. Hold on. So we want to use 4 CPUs. This part could actually take a little while because you are compiling, your compilers. So once again, another great time for more questions.
Well, riddle me this. What would you think, or what is the reason why you would want to flash your firmware? What's I don't want to say wrong, but what's better with flashed firmware versus, say, stock?
It's actually mostly up to opinion, but with Corbett, you can do many, many things. There's another project that I contribute to called Heads. Essentially does early boot up attestation of the system state. So it can check to make sure your system's in all known good state. Oh, yeah, Yep, that's another thing. Furthermore, manufacturers tend to abandon their systems very quickly, especially on consumer laptops. One of the things that I'd say annoys me the most is that manufacturer releases their laptops and doesn't provide microcode updates. And Daniel in the chat is also correct with that. Boot times can get very fast. I remember a while back when I was on Grub, from pressing the power button to getting to GDM3, which is login screen on stock Ubuntu, took 7 seconds on a SATA 2 SSD.
What if you have a system that's BIOS locked? Excuse me, like a password on the BIOS. Can you bypass it this way?
Yep, you can do that as well. Because it completely the core boot doesn't do any BIOS passwords really, and each vendor does their own implementation of BIOS passwords. Like, for example, this system stores it in a dedicated chip, while the system that I'm actually doing all the, live demonstration work on stores it as a CMOS variable or a NVRAM variable, and would be cleared if you cleared your NVRAM.
Are there any vulnerabilities that you can think of that a penetration tester would be able to introduce to a system using this method and core boot?
There's plenty of ways. Thunder Spy, as mentioned before, but there's already plenty much better methods because sure, anti-evil maid exists. You could do not anti-evil maid. Evil maid attacks exist, and of course you could counter that with a lot of anti-evil maid measures in various different firmwares or operating systems such as cubes and heads. But ultimately, yes, you can definitely do some really fun shit with it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You mentioned heads earlier as the firmware that you're working on. What's the difference between heads and tails?
Good question. Tails is a complete amnesiac distro, while heads is essentially you're putting it Linux kernel init-rd in your firmware and having it do everything it can to securely protect your system and make sure you know if your system's been tampered with. That's another thing you can actually do with core boot. You can actually directly embed a Linux kernel and init ramfs into the SPI flash or your BIOS chip. So as soon as your hardware's done doing basic init from core boot, he hands it over to the payload, which is literally Linux. Granted, I would recommend using that for your main system because it'd just be a pain to update constantly. Let's see if I missed any thing in the chat. So from Turk in the Zoom chat, I have a Dell R710 that crashes all the time. If it's a BIOS/UEFI issue, could this fix it? Yes. Essentially, just completely erases this. Your UEFI and BIOS are gone. It's going to be replaced with whatever core boot's providing. So it could potentially fix it. It could potentially not, depending if it's an even further issue. But if it's just strictly a BIOS or UEFI issue, it could potentially fix it, yes.
So there are some, I'm starting to see some systems come out with these SPI flash chips on them that have a security region on them. It's a small, like a 4K OTP ROM section. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if you've run into those yet and what kind of obstacles those pose, if there are any.
I haven't actually personally run into them. Another thing that's been a big roadblock that's more that these systems probably have as well, which prevents them from ever getting, custom firmware in the first place, is Intel Boot Guard, which essentially pretty much negates any ability for us to flash core boot or another non-stock based firmware. But I have not seen the OTP, the 4K OTP systems in the wild yet, at least in my own experience.
Are there analogs to the Intel Boot Guard with, for example, AMD or other non-x86 architectures?
Yes. So AMD has PSP, and that does a whole slew of other things. I'm not really well versed on AMD. I don't, full disclosure, I have never touched an AMD system, really. Very well, a modern AMD system with PSP, I should say. But AMD does have it. Similar thing in place. Although there's work at Google going on because they're wanting to get Ryzen Chromebooks out. Chromebooks exclusively use Core Boot now. So they're working with AMD to get Core Boot up and running on these Ryzen systems, which is another great recommendation. If you ever want to try this stuff out, a Chromebook's your best bet. Modern system already runs Core Boot out of the box in a sense. It's a bit more locked down, but that's another way to go if you ever want to experiment with this, by the way. And then onto like ARM. ARM has Trust Zone. That's another nightmare. But there's probably many other architectures I'm not thinking of. But and IBM Power. I heard this before we went live. Someone talked about IBM Power. IBM Power does not actually have any of this in place, especially anything that was after Open Power was formed, which is an organization that IBM and I believe I can't remember any other entities involved, but you can definitely flash custom firmware on there. Core Boot's not ported to Power yet, though, so if that answers your question. Oh, I see another question. Google adopted Core Boot early. Does it work on ARM too? From John Prunette in Zoom chat. Yes. There's only one ARM Chromebook that doesn't use Core Boot. Ooh, Sonelink, Mr. Chromebox. He makes pre-builds for different Core Boot. Chromebook makes Tiana Core and CBIOS variants firmwares. I'm sorry. I'm blanking out again. So he makes Tiana Core CBIOS firmware for Chromebooks pre-built, so you can easily use his script to flash them. Totally recommend, by the way. I've used it on my own Chromebook way back in the day. Wow, this bin utils is taking forever.
So you said there was one Chromebook that didn't
there's
use
actually
Core Boot. Which is that?
There's actually 4. The first 3 Chromebooks, which are all Intel Atom based, if I recall. The first 3 Chromebooks use Inside H2C, which is a modified version of Inside H2O, which is a prominent BIOS. And then there's also the first Samsung ARM Chromebook, which exclusively uses U-Boot, which is also available as a Core Boot payload, by the way. Why is this taking so long?
Well, that's because it's a live presentation, and during live presentations, that's what happens.
You have a point.
BIOS never updates.
Yeah. This is why it took an hour.
No, absolutely. This has been super interesting. This is a lot of information that I didn't have before.
I have another presentation pipeline that I would love to do as well down the road, which is actually goes over heads. It's while it's not nearly as live demo as actual information sharing, it also would prove to be a very fun topic. So, Ben Utils is still going. Yeah, I was planning to have 16 gigs of RAM in this current system that I had, because I got this current system I have without RAM. But it turned out the sticks were dead, so I had to resort to a single 8 gig stick. And it also doesn't help that I'm only on a dual core right now.
I love that you're saying that. My laptop is literally, and I'm not even kidding about this, a early 2008 MacBook. So,
hey, I have one of those too.
Yeah, but is the only laptop you have?
You do have a point. I have a bit of a problem. If you didn't notice my shelf of laptops.
Okay, so how do you organize your shelf of laptops? Because we had a long discussion about the proper way to do this.
Can you repeat that?
How do you organize your shelf of laptops? Because we had a long discussion about how to do this. I actually learned that a disk trainer is a great way to organize your laptops. I've always just done the stack.
Shit tops towards the bottom. Devices I may actually use closer to the top.
Fair enough.
Plus the occasional laptop that's not on the shelf. Ben Utils really doesn't like live presentations. That really likes it.
It just wants to stay on the screen a lot. That makes it feel important.
I mean, it is important. Don't get me wrong. But once we have this done, core boot doesn't take nearly as long to compile. Shoe Prime is my dad. He can't confirm my organization is really throw it somewhere.
So while it's doing this, tell us a little bit about your background. How old are you? What, like how'd you get started in this?
So I am 19. I am a incoming sophomore, computer engineering sophomore at the University of Kansas. So I started using Linux at around the age of 5. So that really kind of set me off like really early on. But I started getting to firmware around 8th grade, 9th grade in high school, whenever I believe Mr. Chromebox scripts originally came around, when he first brought himself to the scene. And I flashed my first build of, not my own build, but I flashed Mr. Chromebox build onto my Toshiba Chromebook way back in the day. And ever since, it's just been a downward spiral. But yeah, I like playing around with hardware. Breaking stuff is fun, by the way.
Do you know Julie?
Pardon?
I said, do you know Julie?
I believe so.
She goes by Lauren. And she's
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Yep. I've gotten an email forwarded from you over an audit of our systems over at Crasis. It was great.
And it's good to be a CISO, let me tell you.
Are you over there smashing printers
Yes.
right now?
Uh-huh.
Hawk smash.
Man, it's
Just
good
for
to
the
be a
record.
CISO.
And it's good to be a system admin.
The name he's
Especially
using is
whenever,
not his.
especially since my days are mostly taking a good look at Outlook. It's been lovely.
So tell us how you got into Linux at the age of 5.
My wonderful dad that's in this chat, he pretty much gave me a install disk, and it was like, install your operating system on your first computer. I think he handheld me through a bit, but
What OS was that? What operating system was that?
I believe it was Ubuntu 6.06.
Wrong.
I mean, it was the first late to ship. Come on, no one got the joke?
Wrong. You love peanut butter and bananas.
Thank you. Very cool. Oh, we got another fan. SecFan091. Would you recommend X220 as a first system to experiment with Core Boot, or are there better options? Depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for actually good laptop to use, X230, which is the successor to the X220, with pretty much identical chassis outside of a different stock keyboard, but you can even fix that. I totally would recommend the X230 over to X220. But if you also have a Chromebook laying around that you're not using, or even if you are using and want to just throw Linux on it, those are also amazing options as well. Ooh, cheap, shitty ThinkPad. Yeah, the X220 works as a cheap, shitty ThinkPad. And definitely does well with Core Boot, so. If you can find one for the right price, that is. Prices have been getting a bit abnormal lately, so your mileage may vary. Hey! We're now on to GCC. Yep. GCC says, hold my beer. Although I don't think GCC takes nearly as long as BitUtils. But we'll see.
I got you, Bill.
Look, I mean, I've been thinking it all night. So, I mean, I'm just glad someone else, it's been running through my mind, I'm just glad someone else recognized it.
I do. It's okay to be you.
Yeah, that's right.
We all love you.
Yeah, the funny thing is, and I don't know if I told everyone, I probably should have warned everybody. I literally have been drinking since 2:00 today. I had 2 happy hours before SecKC, and I told my wife, I was like, "Oh, watch out, because I'm gonna have drank a lot tonight."
I'll say, Jerry, you're doing a great job so far. Since it's my first ever.
Oh, my name is Sebastian, by the way.
Sebastian, I'm just going with the flow here. Okay. So
yeah, I'm using my dad's system. My bad.
Oh, without your parents' permission? Nice.
I mean, he's also watching, so.
Nice. Risky. Try not saying anything. Hey, yo, Dad. He bullied me outside of school.
Go beat him up.
I'm so proud of him.
Wait, talk about Dad's always a great influence.
That's why I love you, Dad. I'm sorry, Mr. Father's Day.
While we're waiting for this, when when he was about 5 years old, he kept on messing up a Windows machine he had. So I debanned the hard drive and handed him a copy of Gen 2 and told him if he wanted a computer again, he had to compile his own kernel.
That's so awesome.
Oh, was that it? Oh, yeah.
What a good dad.
All right, I'm gonna buy $5 best dad ever mug. Send me your address.
I mean, the dividends are
so
clearly
actually, I don't know
playing
if you guys caught this, and I think sorry, I just talked over you.
No.
But we just hit $5,000 going to the EFF.
No way.
And he has to now, so Aaron now has to wear full makeup and shave and a dress. And there's no way that anybody can prove me wrong or say that I'm lying because there's no verification, but I'm calling it right now. We just hit 5,000. Looks like looking 5,190, $5,123. It's unbelievable.
Should have gone deeper, man. If you wanted to keep the beard, should have gone deeper. Damn.
Everybody, phone lines are open. Keep calling. We need those. We've got a matching set up right now. So
that's right.
Donate those dollars.
I want to see Aaron in a dress.
Oh God, I don't. But I mean, I do. But whatever.
I mean, yeah, you know, it's an incentive, right? I mean, it raised $5,000 for EFF. That's sick. That's awesome. Like,
yeah, we should probably check to see, like, if like maybe your employers match, and let's actually hit that. Well, actually, I'm going to take that back. We already hit it. We've already hit 5,000.
Let's hit 10.
Yeah,
10,000. What's the goal?
If employers are matching, dude. If employers are matching, it's already 10. Let's hit 20. Fuck it.
Hi, KU. Can you drop a bunch of money into the EFF real fast?
May as well. They got $1 billion.
There you go.
Maybe you can ask BAM to make a donation.
Fair.
Hey, Sebastian.
Yes.
What's the age range of your dad? I need to find the perfect coffee mug.
He can answer for himself.
50, 75, 70, 40.
Try under 40.
Alrighty, 70 is.
That makes so much sense. Dude, these dividends are really paying out. You guys are going to have like $1 billion company in like 10, 15 years, I'm pretty sure.
So who else is on the stream that's not from Kansas City? Who else we got?
I believe Daniel is my friend. He's not from Kansas City. I know that.
Yo.
Hey, Michael, where are you from?
Maryville.
Cool. So have you made it to a SecKC?
Several. In fact, I think Jurist was the one that invited me because I loaned my MacBook out way back when at DEF CON for a presentation.
That's awesome.
Is Jurist here?
He actually just left. He was on earlier and he had to bounce. But
I want to compare what he looks like compared to his awesome. I just can't give his profile picture. I just love any Pope meme there is. I just love it. Dropping the beat. But no, I'm from St. Louis, although I just moved here overly July 6th. So good times, and I prefer it so much more. Everyone's nicer in Kansas City than St. Louis. Everyone's St. Louis is just like, can I help you?
Because y'all don't know how to drive down there.
That's true.
I'm in Lawrence, so I'm not far, but yeah, I'm real close by. I'm in Lawrence, Kansas.
Cool.
I'm based out in Olathe, but I'm going back to Lawrence here in less than 10 days. So
good luck with that, man. It's getting messy out here.
I have noticed.
Ryan, are you Ryan Berry Pie in chat?
Hey. Yeah. Guilty.
Oh damn, Jiggle Billy, you got that beard growing, dude.
Yeah, I've been going with Bill had posted that link earlier, early in COVID. Like you can go wild or go. Yeah, I went wild.
Yeah, I might go with that too. I might be growing mine back. Like this goatee, I'm gonna do it just because I'm slight Sicilian Italian, but like now I'm kind of going like I kind of miss the full beard. I want to go back to my homeless look.
Rocket.
I was doing it, but I hated it, so I did away with it.
Nice.
So I started shaving mine off once I looked back at pictures that I've had a beard.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you're like, oh my gosh, for like 3 years or something, like So, and I don't know if you guys have done this yet, but has anybody had a haircut? It's magical. It is it's amazing. And need to do it. Like Jiggle Belly, you especially, look at it. You're a monster.
They can go in a
look at
man
you.
bun.
Yeah.
There's also us that don't cut our hair like ever.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a monster, so.
Hey, Bill, I can vouch for that, man. When I got a haircut at the end of July, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
I know. And you have to be like, look, I'm sorry for the moans, and like don't take any offense to it. Just awesome.
Look, they told me they had special rules. I didn't know what I was in for, but I was down.
I could really see Bill just kind of like, oh, I can feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, she's like, do you want you want to wash out? Yep.
Yep.
Naturally.
Shoulder massage? Yes, I do.
He just experiences like where my what was it called, Doctor Strange, like when it's pushed out of his body. That's how he is.
Wow, that's vivid. That's vivid.
It's a very vivid experience he's had, and you could tell. And I mean, you could tell he really knows what's going on because that background of his is very organized. So,
you talking about me?
Yeah, I'm talking about you.
All right, check this out.
Oh, here we go. I really thought that was an old like telephone. No way.
Oh, I thought it was.
That
too.
is.
It's two old telephones.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
when did you get the second one?
And so, Lauren, you're not allowed to answer. You might not know the answer, but you're not allowed to answer, just in case you do. Does anybody know what? Oh, and Rickson, Rickson's allowed to answer, but does anybody know what the silver payphone is?
I mean, it looks like some CIA shit. Like it looks like a federal building device.
Is it from the airport?
So
like where you
the
call
federal
the taxi?
building was a really good hint, actually.
I thought it was just the thing I read from an article about missing phone from London.
From a prison?
That is what a prison payphone looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know,
Hey,
Mister. If you're a secret agent, stand up.
Yeah, right. No, so they said I could have one phone call, so I took the phone.
Do you guys still have any of the glass sides that say phone?
What's that? I didn't hear you.
The glass sides from the pay phones that say phone on them?
Right. So, and this one, I mean, that's, just a normal payphone, but it was I bought it on eBay, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I mean, I've had it for a long time, but it was $25 for the phone and $250 to get it shipped.
Yeah.
And I think Rickson stole the keypad. It was either Rickson or Noah maybe, and I think I saw him earlier. I don't know if he's still around, but the keypad's missing from the hackerspace, and they're totally easy to replace and everything like that. But I love the fact that it's missing. I love that. I love the fact that it's missing.
I'm not gonna lie to you. For one reason or another, those are actually like really catching display pieces. I mean, that's probably why you put them up. But like, yeah. I was kind of surprised when I saw that. Like, it was.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. The COVID projects that everybody has. One of my projects was I'm going to make a background that when we're here and we're waiting for GCC to hold our beer, that we could have something to talk about.
Actually, I may have an idea. So I'm going to skip ahead and get the config going.
Cool.
So while GCC is doing its thing and bogging my system resources down, so first things first, this is Coreboot's menu config. I'm too lazy to go through and manually put together text config. So we're now going to go through here, zip through, try to find X220. And so we're going to increase the CBFS. This essentially is the file system, if you will, of core boot. Let's give it however much that is. General. And let's just make sure I'm not missing anything. So essentially there's made for, options, if you will. It's highly configurable. But where we're going here is that let's check the Slack again, because Grub 2 is still winning. So if I actually wait, that's not it. Grub 2 secondary payloads. Let's throw in memtest 86 plus.
What type of abomination is this that has Lilo in it?
Memtest 86 plus probably will give false positives if we were to run it, but it's just for show. System tables, generic drivers, PS2 keyboard in it. You may want that since you have a laptop. Yeah, that looks actually mostly it. This step is like the easiest step. And now we still wait for GCC because we need this GCC before we can continue.
Are you able to flash firmware from like over SSH, for example?
If the device that you're connecting to through SSH has a physical flasher attached to it and has that physical flasher attached to another device via like a clip, yes.
Okay, so it would take the physical interface regardless, though?
Yep.
That makes sense. Cool.
That's kind of how it works with the Raspberry Pi. You have to SSH into the Raspberry Pi, which is why it's such a bitch to use the Raspberry Pi. But yeah, that would work. This is how you also could be able to do headless flashing if you have internal flashing enabled.
Cool.
Oh wait, I just realized I forgot something. So let's go back. Wait. So we need to. So CD util IFD tool, which analyzes the flash descriptor of the chip. And you can also use it to extract different regions. We need that to grab some blobs. So X220 backup. Hold on. Let's just pull up the help because you see different things there. So you can do dump. You can dump regions into flash layout file, which is kind of depreciated since you really don't need to use that flash layout file anymore. But what we want is dump. We may want to dump something. ls ls. Hey, so you have flash region 0 flash descriptor, BIOS, and Intel ME. So another thing that we can do is / me cleaner ls. Okay, so Python me cleaner help or Python 3 Fucking semantics. So you can do soft disable. Relocate and truncate. The descriptor, and we want the output descriptor to be core boot ifd.bin. Oh, I forgot to do the rest of the command. M would be the output ME region, so core boot me.bin. And then we want the output file blah.bin, because we don't need this file. And we need our input file. So x220 backup.rom, and then ls core boot. And we now have an me.bin and an ifd.bin that are truncated and stripped out of most of the Intel Management Engine components. So we tell Intel to go fuck themselves instead of them telling us to go fuck ourselves. Oh yeah, I almost guarantee that since there's apparently going to be more than one part of the Intel leak, there's already part 1.5 that's been roaming around. I guarantee that eventually we're going to be seeing Intel Management Engine code. So, oh, by the way, with regards to that Intel leak, someone was able to do Control F, backdoor, and get results. Very reassuring. And GCC is still being, wonderful. Yeah, that may help. ls make menu config. And then we want to go general setup. Okay. Chipset. There we go. Then we just want ifd.bin, because we need to specify the regions that we're going to be using. We are going to use me.bin, and note that the file that we put in here starts at the build, the repository of the core repository, your local copy, and then gigabit Ethernet. I need to copy this file over, but we grabbed it from the IFD tool extraction. So there, and move // region. Oh. Okay. Do we not have a gigabit Ethernet region? No. We're missing gigabit Ethernet region. That's fine. We just don't have Ethernet. Don't do this at home, kids. Yes. So now that damn. So while we still wait for GCC to finish its thing, ask me some more questions, because I just did a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh yes, definitely. My Chromebook, my original Toshiba Chromebook that I flashed back in like freshman year of high school, that hit end of life like 1 or 2 years ago. After reflashing to firmware, as well as reflashing to firmware on my sister's, I put myself on Linux on that Chromebook. Granted, I don't use that Chromebook anymore, really. But my sister that still uses her Chromebook, I put on Neverware's Cloud Ready. And it's still providing her some service, and it's still getting security updates. So yeah, it's definitely one way to extend lifespan of a Chromebook or Chromebox. You can actually do via CBIOS. You can use PXE boot via IPXE. You can integrate IPXE into CBIOS. Yes, totally. I know I actually, when I first tried out building my own build at core boot, at the time I also had my own dedicated PXE booting server. So I was having lots of fun with that. Being able to pretty much PXE boot on CBIOS via IPXE integrated into it. And yes, only do this at home, kids. Prod. If the core boot build tree behaves, sure, it's great for prod. When it doesn't, it's wonderful. And I have a cat meowing at my door.
So I saw whenever you were doing the make menu config, you had to choose the specific platform or the specific model of machine.
Yep.
And there are a ton of models on there. What does it take into creating a new model?
It can range from being very, very simple to I give up level of difficulty. Some models, if they're identical enough, you can mostly copy paste stuff over and just replace the GPIO. I don't have too terribly much experience with this myself, but it can essentially, you need to be able to have a model that supports either the already existing platforms or what was it? You have what was it? Oh, but essentially, it can be very complicated. You need to have something that supports the current existing platforms or have the ability to port platforms. There's one platform using the chipset i965. That platform, any documentation behind the i965 chipset is under NDA. So if you ever want to port a device such as your early 2008 MacBook, you're going to have to be able to figure out how to port i965's chipset into a working supported chipset for core boot, essentially.
So kind of along with this building a platform, does that mean that different platforms will have different levels of functionality? I guess like different levels of like completeness of support.
Yes, definitely. But what was it? There was another ThinkPad. USB devices weren't being very cooperative. Power management was mucked. It was it can range from very stable, like Chromebooks, to very unstable, like a brand new, very early development platform. Yeah. GCC is still wanting to. I know we're starting to lose some people, but once I have this going, I should be able to just run make. If make doesn't work, then I have a fallback strategy. Don't worry. Do not worry. Because main reason but main reason why I'm wanting to try this with Grub is because there's some things you could do with Core Boot as well that I want to show off. There's a concept of a secondary payload. Essentially, a payload, some payloads can execute other payloads, and it's really fun. And it can also get very messy. Grub is one of those payloads that lets you not only boot your Linux install, but it can let you go to other Core Boot. Not Core Boot, payloads. Hold on. Oh, let me just get this thing reattached because I knocked it over earlier, and I'd rather not spend another 10 minutes trying to reattach it. All right. Maybe I should have said hour 30.
It's all good. That's why you got to go last. This totally works.
I do suppose. I do thank you all for hanging in here. It's been one bumpy ride, but we should have Grub as our payload soon. If not, then I have a backup ROM that, while it is not Grub, it will definitely showcase. Definitely not stock firmware. And I'll give make one go. Yes. More cores would always be appreciated in my life. And I just knocked over the clip again. All right, now I have the flash chip attached for whenever GCC finally gets done.
While we're sitting here, I got multiple pie holes that I use at my house here, and I on GitHub there's a gravity sync script that synchronizes data from a master, if you will, to subordinate pie holes, because it becomes a pain in the ass having a whitelist or blacklist on multiple devices. Anyway, I got that set up and working tonight, so
neat.
Just FYI for other people out there thinking about doing it. Anyway, DNS servers that are in sync are good DNS servers. Now, what's I'll put the link in the chat. Let me find it.
All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip the GCC part for now. I don't think it's going to finish anytime soon. I'm starting to lose faith in that. So we are going to now just flash one of my backups of another ROM that I had, the original ROM I had on here before I prepared for today. So first thing it does is read the original flash chip contents. It essentially takes a dump, and then it calculates the hash of that. And then after it does that, it will then write to the chip. And whenever it's done with that, it then takes a dump of it again. Wait, no, we don't calculate the hash originally. We just calculate the hash, not hash. Yes, we take that. Yeah, we actually do. We take the hash of the original one and then check to make sure it's not the exact same as the one we're currently flashing, just so we don't wear down the flash chip. But it then writes to it and then takes another dump of the newly written flash chip and then checks to make sure that it wrote correctly. Now we're erasing and writing. I believe this actually is technically a two-step process because I believe at first he writes, then it writes. Oh, good question. How many write cycles can these chips take? I don't think they're actually necessarily rated, but they're significantly less than many. If you write to them enough, if you write to them like once a day, they probably will be gone within a year if my estimate is correct. But I don't think that's generally rated because that's not something you normally are supposed to do. That is a good question, actually. Although, I have done plenty of writing on a lot of these chips, and they have survived lots of abuse. So
I feel like Rickson could give us an exact number of times we could write for some reason.
Well, funny you mentioned that. I'm looking at data sheet on one right now, and it's showing 100K. 100K writes.
All right.
There you go. It's not bad.
That's actually really good. So if you write multiple times a day, like 100 times a day, we may have some problems.
Yeah. So, as a comparison to other things that we work with, every day, RAM is obviously like, continuous writes, basically virtually infinite. Flash that we deal with on like SSDs, NVMe drives, that kind of stuff. That even has, I think, probably a higher wear rate, but these are lower cost, lower durability than what we see in like high-end consumer or even commercial equipment. So like the stuff that we're seeing right now are like they're warranted for 5 years. That's 5 years of continuous writes, basically. So they're rated in like petabytes a day on like SSDs and stuff. So, but yeah, these 100,000 drive writes for the lifetime device writes is, it's still a lot for if we're going to flash this stuff. If you want to do a new core boot like every hour, that's still a significant lifetime.
Although if you do plan to do this like really, really long term and plan to do this multiple times a day, maybe invest in getting some additional chips. Especially if you plan long term, as in like at least three writes a day, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 writes a day for multiple years. If you want that single device to last that long, flash chips are also cheap, especially SPI. We're verifying flash, but yeah, SPI flash chips are like really cheap if I recall. So if you have a soldering iron or a hot air gun, it's not a big deal. You can also do that. You can also replace all your BIOS chips with sockets. I have one device that's like that. When we say using a heat gun, I mean making sure you're not like maxing out heat and having just the entire board drenched in heat, of course.
That sounds like something you learned the hard way.
I prefer not to comment on that part.
Yeah. It sounds like something you don't intend to learn the hard way.
Right.
All right. So now I'm going to enable my video feed again. Let's see. Oh, that's right. I need to stop sharing on my end. Or where is... Oh. I think the main window for oh, never mind, it's right there. I'm blind. So now let me switch my video over to pointing at the laptop, maybe. So we're just going to go ahead and skip grub. I don't need to keep everyone for as long. So, oh, it may help if I have the battery in it. Don't mind me. And that is definitely not stock BIOS, by the way. And this is a full Linux environment. This is the heads project I was talking about earlier. And of course, one day I'll have a presentation over this. And it won't be live demo, so I may meet time estimate that time. But we have, I think we have LSPCI. Yes, we do. And we have VI. So I could technically write, but I think that gets the point across. I think with mission accomplished with caveats.
That is rad. And you totally made time because you said an hour to an hour and a half, and here we are. So you're solid, man. That was incredible. Thank you.
No problem. And GCC is still not done, by the way. Let's just kill that. But yeah, I guess that'll do it.
Dude, Sebastian, I just gotta tell you, man, I had never heard of this before. And so like, and as you were talking, like, I think we're probably like, oh, I've got that one box or whatever that maybe I could do that on. And I know that one's, I've got one. So dude, I appreciate it. It was really, really cool. Thanks for walking us through it.
No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So many projects were just born.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure we're all going to be inside for a while. So
you just killed a lot of people's weekends.
Yeah.
Or made them more interesting. It could go either way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we are at 9:30. I really want to say thanks to everybody that came. I'm so glad that this went well. I was a little bit concerned because I know it's the same month as DEF CON, and I know that's maybe not traditional to do this the same month as DEF CON, but hey, I think it went outstanding. Huge thank you, Sebastian. That was fascinating. It was certainly a world I've never dipped into. So thank you so much for the knowledge drop there.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ari, I think had to drop off because he's got things tonight, but appreciated the Raspberry Pi as well. 20 minutes of news was epic. Bill, anybody else? Have you got something to close us out?
Nope. See you next month, maybe. I don't know. Ben, what do you think?
I'll tell you what. There's been a lot of interest so far in doing some sort of like DEF CON retrospective, because I know there were some accolades and some achievements accomplished at DEF CON, even though it was safe mode. Maybe a little bit lighter fare, something a little bit shorter, more fun. I don't know. Might throw some trivia or something like that in there as well, just to make it interesting.
Cool.
So,
well, I think
we definitely do this next month.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks, speakers. Thanks, everyone who showed up.
Thank you all for I can't speak. Thank you all for making this happen.
Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice meeting everyone.
And now all the leaving beats. We close with a thank you for using WebEx.
Thank you for using WebEx.
Thank you for using WebEx. Brought to you by Microsoft.
I had to do that.
Thank you for using Zoom.
Okay.
Brought to you by SecKC.
In 500 feet, turn off a cliff.
I'm kidding.
Make U-turn. Hey, make another U-turn.
Okay, U-turn, U-turn, U-turn. I'm broken.
Recalculating.
I'll fight the
You have
spectral
gone
wolf.
off the paved road. You have gone off the paved road.
There's a reason why I want to like get GPS, record my voice. It's kind of like, so in 500 feet, make sure you guys turn left so you don't fall off. Hopefully not. It might happen. It's okay.